The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Right Side. Doug Billings here with you. Thank you for watching from wherever you are. Remember, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Head over there. Hey, they let me back. I was in YouTube jail for about 4 years, really, and they've just let me back in there. So head over to their YouTube, at The Right Side, Doug Billings, please. Subscription is free. Sign up, and make sure you set your reminder so you get new content. I want to talk to you today about the situation in Minnesota that is really bigger than any kind of a single headline, bigger than the news cycle, because what happened there is not just a story. In many ways, it is a warning to us, a warning about what happens when a society forgets the difference between lawful protest and criminal interference. And I'm going to be frank with you this entire little short amount of time that we have. And we become confused, society does, when obedience to a lawful authority becomes optional. Those things happen. We're in big trouble. That is a warning for us. And so I'm going to begin with a fact that should not be controversial. But somehow it is, and it's made so by people on the radical left. Now, if you're on the left, don't automatically be put out by that. ICE agents are federal law enforcement officers. They're sworn officers of the United States government operating under federal law with lawful authority. These people are not political actors. They are not vigilantes. And they are not optional for you, for us, for we the people. When an ICE agent or any lawful law enforcement officer issues a command, that command is not a suggestion. It is a lawful order. The most important civic lesson that we've learned, well, let me fix that, because we have not in this country been taught civics in high school and college for decades. Another story for another time. Americans are no longer taught that compliance comes first and disputes come later. You obey the order. You survive the encounter, and you challenge it legally afterwards if that's necessary. That principle, ladies and gentlemen, saves lives. So let's talk about escalation, because that's where everything breaks down. When an individual ignores lawful commands, refuses to stop or pull over, or a person who uses a vehicle in a threatening manner toward an officer, that vehicle becomes under law, under enforcement doctrine, a potential deadly weapon. It's not an option. Folks, this is settled use of force policy. It's in play across the United States. Officers do not get, nor do they have, the luxury of assuming good intentions when milliseconds separate life from death. And yet, almost immediately and right on cue, the media narrative flips. It's not, why were the commands ignored? Who escalated this encounter? But instead we get, why was law enforcement there in the first place? Why didn't they de-escalate more? And that inversion of reality is very dangerous, ladies and gentlemen, as Renee Good found out, and God bless her and her family, because it teaches the public the wrong lesson. And I'm going to say this clearly. The Constitution protects protest. No one will doubt that. I'm not arguing that. But it does not protect interference with law enforcement. Protest ends the very moment interference begins, folks. That is it. That's the truth. It's that fundamental. Once somebody blocks police officers or follows them or stalks them during an operation, or they refuse lawful commands, or they escalate physically or verbally, they're no longer protesters. Not at all. They are participants in a crime. Calling criminal behavior a protest doesn't make it somehow noble. It's not as if you're sprinkling fairy dust on this situation. It makes it deceptive, in fact. And though, deception, it's how chaos spreads, and chaos is their patron demon over on the left. We've seen it before, this entire pattern. In 2020, we saw it with the death of George Floyd, a drug addict, domestic abuser, and a felon who was turned into some sort of a national fuse by the radical left. Not for reform by you, not for the betterment of mankind or the reformation of drug addicts and domestic abusers, but a fuse for riots, a fuse for arson, looting, anarchy, lawlessness. Cities were burned to the ground. We all remember that. Minnesota, Minneapolis, small businesses destroyed. Police departments abandoned, morale knocked down to the gutter level, and the potential for more was absolutely obvious, possible, and it happened. And the left, we all know, we saw the clips. Well, it's Doug. What are you talking about? That was all just mostly peaceful. We saw it. So that precedent, we set a precedent back in 2020. And it matters because once a society excuses chaos for ideological reasons, chaos becomes a tactic, a tool. And the truth is that most Americans are never told this. Chaos does not organize itself. Now, for those of you who watch me in this program, you already know this. You're part of the most intellectually mature audience in all of Radioland. Of course you get it, but we're here to help the others and to wake up as many people as we can. Crowds don't just magically appear at the same places at the same times, using the same tactics with the same slogans, sometimes the same signs, across multiple cities. That just doesn't happen without coordination. Modern political disorder always follows this playbook, and that involves things like trained community organizers. That's what they'll call themselves. Barack Obama called himself one of those. You got rapid mobilization through social media. You've got prearranged legal and bail funding available to you. So you got a lawyer in case you get arrested, and you got bail money in case you need to get bailed out. And then the intermediate media narrative always runs to their defense. And what I just said is not conspiracy. It is infrastructure that is readily observable in real time. Infrastructure requires money, funds, legal defense pipelines that remove the consequences from all of this, right? If you want to escalate something, great, because we're going to remove the consequences for you. And when people believe that they're going to be protected, bailed out, defended in court, celebrated, made into some sort of an icon of the liberal movement, well, then their desire to and their ability to take risk will increase. And then the escalation of the nonsense becomes incentivized, doesn't it? And then we add in the final shield as part of the liberal playbook reveals to us. It's that final shield is the media reflex to all of it, right? When incidents like this occur, the badge is interrogated first. Facts, nah. Not only are they not really required, they're optional. Facts are just optional here. Context, let's delay the context as long as we can. And emotion decides the verdict before evidence is reviewed. Every time. Playbook. And that teaches a very deadly lesson. Narratives will beat the law if we play the game right. And emotion will beat evidence. And pressure will beat the process. And where everything comes together is that a republic can't survive like this. That's why many of the cities and so forth that you've seen this kind of violence happen aren't surviving right now. Lawful authority cannot function if obedience is conditional. Once a mob learns that they can test or they can probe, they can stalk and gaslight and challenge enforcement, well, and of course, yes, be rewarded with sympathy and protection and so forth, the order of the society will collapse. Liberty will never result from that, believe me. Order lost. And without order, liberty, my friends, doesn't exist. That's just simply put. And I'll speak directly to everyday Americans listening right now. You are not extremists for wanting law and order. You're not heartless for expecting compliance to law enforcement officers. And you're not wrong for supporting them, law enforcement. Ladies and gentlemen, you are the moral majority. Be clear about that. Give yourself permission to believe it. And this country, this republic, depends on you. Because the final truth in all of this, ladies and gentlemen, is actually quite simple. Freedom is not the absence of authority. Freedom is the presence of a just authority that's properly enforced. When authority collapses, I can tell you that freedom never rises up. Oh, chaos does, most certainly. Chaos is the patron demon of the radical left movement. And chaos always hurts the innocent people first. That's the lesson of Minnesota. That's the lesson of the last decade. And that's the lesson that we ignore, my friends, at our own peril. Remember, head over to YouTube, please. Subscribe to my YouTube channel over there. They let me out of YouTube jail. I'm free. A lot of subscribers over there. You ought to check it out. The YouTube channel is At the Right Side Doug Billings. At the Right Side Doug Billings on YouTube. Please head over there and subscribe. It's free. And click that little red bell they got over there so that you get notified every time I drop new content. We are in this thing together, ladies and gentlemen. Believe it. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the set of my show, Doug Billings. Hey, my good friends at EMP Shield, that's electromagnetic pulse, in case you're from Raytown, Missouri. Electromagnetic pulse could wipe out your home electrical system, could wipe out your vehicle. And thanks to the radical liberal agenda that was put forth under Administrator Biden and Vice Pretender Harris, there are lots of people in this country who want to do us harm. And maybe an EMP device would be their chosen weapon. But EMP Shield gives you a device that can protect you. This little baby here goes on your home outlets, a computer, a router, whatever you want to protect. And then they also have a larger model like this. You can still hold it in the palm of your hand that goes on your vehicle battery so that you can get out of trouble from point A to point B. EMPshield.com. Promo code Doug, ladies and gentlemen. Save yourself. Save your property. EMPshield.com. Promo code Doug. We're in this together, folks. Believe it. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.